Welcome to the Wildcast podcast, coming to you from Wildcast Studios with your hosts Adam Lund and Jeremy Boucher.
Hi, welcome in and welcome back to Wildcast Studios on Rogers TV for another episode of the Wildcast podcast, your unofficial voice for all things Moncton Wildcats, presented by Alpha's Appliance Solution, the premier destination for KitchenAid, Whirlpool, and Maytag appliances in Moncton. Right now, they got the Gen Air Luxury Redefine event. Save 15% when you purchase any 2 or 3 qualifying Gen Air products. Save 20% when you purchase, you guessed it, 4 or more Gen Air products. Now until December 31st. As always, fan listeners, I am your host, Adam Lund, and I'm joined by your favorite co-hoster, Mr. YQM, Mr. Monctonian, Mr. QMJHL Draft, Mr. Christmas Decorator, Mr. Jeremy Boucher. Speaking of which, did you get them all done? Are you set up? Are you ready to go?
Yeah, all set up. I'm still waiting on my obviously my Temu order, which is gonna complete the decorations. But no, my fear of heights was definitely, hey, that's my cup.
I wondered how long it was going to take you. Yeah, you left this. Yeah. For all those wondering, I was just going to go on the internet and look up a drink. So you're like, hey, did you get Starbucks? And I was going to be, yeah, I got a
that's where my cup went.
Vende Latte Mochaccino Frap Wrap. But
that's where my cup went.
Yeah, I washed it out and then I put pop on to see how long you noticed. So I will give it back to you
didn't
tonight.
Take long.
All right. Anyway, you really didn't.
I climbed up on the roof. And every time I took a step on the ladder, I heard the Jeff Hardy music playing in my head. But no, actually, yeah, I cleaned the gutters out too. So I got all the leaves out of my gutters. Did
you go get nice chains so you don't get anything in the gutters? No.
That's going too far. But then, yeah, let's say my Christmas decorations. Got the lights up on the roof, and I got my inflatable Santa and my inflatable snowman in the front yard, and that's pretty much the extent of it right now. So
what's coming from Temu?
I think there's a 250 feet of lights or something like that.
Ooh.
I got for like $20.
That's not bad.
Yeah. So we'll see if they all work.
So you just go around the trim?
Yeah. I'll just put them around on the hedges on the outside.
And then you went, I need more lights so you can look like Clark Griswold and do all the lights?
Yeah. I wish I had that many lights. But no, I'm not going that extreme. It's so far our neighbors have actually some pretty decent decorations. So I'm not going to win best on the block, but
not with that attitude.
That's not really the goal. No, it's everything's that all took place on Sunday. Got everything done within a couple of hours.
Yeah, I'm putting up decorations. We went to MacArthur's and got some stuff for she makes Christmas boxes like flowers and decorate that. So we got a Grinch one coming with the Grinch inspired and then just a regular Christmas one inspired. But I want to put lights up, but the way my house is, it's really tall to go up there.
Yeah.
Like at least the old house on Dominion, when I opened my bedroom door, I went out the door and I was on the roof, so I could just put them around there. But yeah, we might put something around the windows. But again, it's tough for me to do anything because the house across the street's already winning with all these. We drive by and I'm like, should we just steal that? Put it in our house? Plus, we have love where we live, really do. But whoever built this house with one outlet in the front of the house, our front door, and then we've got a canopy up top. It's right there. So if I want to do anything, I got to bring down extension cord out to anything. And it's just and I want to put all the inflatables up, but our driveway is a horseshoe and right in the middle is a perfect spot for all the snow that gets, like if we have a ton of snow, it's all right there. So you lose some of the decorations. So we're slowly getting to it. We got some stuff. Don't worry. We will Christmasify the studio. Do not worry about that. But yeah, no, it was a good weekend and a good trip for us. We made the trip across the bridge. Wildcast podcast is now, I think, 4-0 when there's just the two of us dating back to last year. Because I think they won in St. John. Actually,
they should pay us to go on the trip this week.
I'm just saying, I'm up for it. Hell's Kitchen, you did watch it?
I did watch it.
Yeah.
Anthony was the no dinner service. There was a fight for your life, as you called it earlier, and there was a tough break. Left a claw or something, or not a claw, but a bone
inside the cod.
Yeah.
What's airline chicken? Is that just chicken breast?
Chicken
breast.
Chicken.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I kept laughing at that, like airline chicken. I'm like, is that just chicken you get on the airline? Like, is that all it is? Like, why are we doing a big deal about airline chicken?
Just some fancy chicken, I think, and that's that's pretty much. Anthony's gone, and which sucks because I thought he was pretty good.
He was a little bit kind of quiet, but I mean, you serve Gordon Ramsay bones and chicken, it doesn't matter. I didn't think Lulu was going to keep, like, she continues to fly under the radar, and I don't want to say it's annoying me, but it's kind of annoying me that she's still, I mean, she was put up for, well, there's 5 of them that was put up for nomination, but I just kick her out. Done with her. Not that I don't like her, but I don't really like her. But yeah, did you I didn't watch Christmas with the Cranks. Did you watch any Christmas movies while you were is the inside of the house done, or does that
the inside's done? Yeah.
Done too, eh?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So this weekend we watched did we watch it? Home Alone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But we were supposed to watch Hot Frosty on Netflix.
I saw that. It looks like a mockery of
Jack Frost.
Yeah, well, it looks like a mockery of all those kind of movies.
Yeah. So it's basically I don't know how to say it, but I think I'm only intrigued about it because I forget his real name. I only know him because they're characters in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But the Pontiac Bandit and Charles from Brooklyn Nine-Nine's in the movie as well. So that's it's on Netflix only. I'll probably sit down and watch it this weekend.
Netflix. Where is he? Joe Trigrio?
Yeah, that's Charles Boyle.
Yeah. And that's Craig Robinson.
Nine-Nine. Yeah, and Craig Robinson from
is that the guy? Is that the other guy you're looking? Dustin Mulligan? I don't know if he was on that.
No. I don't think so.
Might have been the Joe guy. Okay. I mean, it's also got Lacey Sherbet, which is not bad.
I don't know who that is.
It's the main chick in the movie.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
There you go.
Now I get what you're saying. Yeah.
I was like, what do you mean you don't know who that is? Yeah, I saw the preview for it. And again, Netflix does a really good job of, instead of giving you previews, they give you 30 seconds of the movie, which helps absolutely no one. Did you watch the fight? Did you watch the big fight on
Too late
Friday
for
night?
me. Too late. I knew we were going to be at a little road trip on Saturday, so I wanted to be rested up for that. So no, and plus I wasn't really interested in it anyway.
Man, did you miss an absolute
beatdown?
No, just ridiculous. Just a full-on
assault
on our eyeballs. Yeah,
waste of time.
An assault on everyone's eyeballs. Jake Paul just continues to sucker everyone into thinking he's good, and he is a showman and he's a content creator, and that's what he does.
Yeah,
it was terrible on Netflix for the fact that it kept buffering.
Yeah.
So I hope that Netflix
60 million people were watching it.
I hope, and you could tell when people tuned in too, because it was kind of working, and then it would stop, and then I think once round 3 started, and people were like, "Yeah, I don't think this is going to go the way I want it to go." But I saw some conspiracies online, and that it was obviously to set Mike Tyson up for retirement and his future, and apparently the videos of him fighting and training were like 2-3 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's what they were using, and people put more money on Mike Tyson in like the 2 days leading up to the fight than they had ever bet. Like, betting sites were making more money than they'd made all of last year forever. And you could tell if you go back and watch the highlights of the fight, the very first round, Mike's bobbing and weaving like the 80s, and he comes out and he ducks and he comes up left-handed and gets Jake in the side and kind of staggers him a bit. And then conveniently enough, like a minute later, they kind of hug each other like a tie-up. And after that, Mike Tyson all of a sudden just doesn't punch anymore. Like, he was reminded that, hey, we're just out here to make you $30 million and ride off in the sunset and whatever. But yeah, the girls fight, if you have a chance to go and watch on Netflix, just fast forward to the girl fight. I won't give it away, but it was the fight of the night.
Is that right?
Yeah, it was. Wow. It was a good fight. It shows why boxing is a joke, but it was an absolute good fight. But I stayed up. I think it ended at 1:30, almost 2 o'clock in the morning. So if Netflix, they're streaming, yeah, I figured you will be. Netflix is streaming the NFL games on Christmas Day on Sunday. You better up your streamers. You better up your gear.
Well, will 60 million people watch it though?
It's not much else to do on Christmas Day, and the NFL is pretty big.
Well, there's going to be a World Juniors preview show, and there's NBA.
Last year, the NFL smash the NBA.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why they're on Christmas Day. Yeah, I guess the Monctonian.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that later, or you want to talk about that now?
Yeah, we'll touch on it later.
Cool.
Yeah,
All right.
Yeah.
Don't forget, as always, you can follow us on the social medias: Twitter, Moncton Wildcast, Instagram, Wildcast Podcast, TikTok, Wildcast Podcast, and as well on YouTube. Don't forget to like and smash that subscribe button so you let us know that you like what we're doing. And click the bell because you're going to miss some podcast post games. Eventually, we may do some lives on there. Who knows? Maybe we'll do a live watch party this week. While the Wildcats are on the road trip. No quick question this week, so we can just we can flat out jump to the news and notes from around the Q.
News and notes from around the Q.
All right, so close to home, Mr. Caleb Desnoyers was named alternate captain. Oh, I'm going to hide that. Hang on, stop. Hang on, hide that. There we go. Little bringing you inside the fourth wall. I'm trying to do this all at the same time. There he is. Caleb Desnoyers was named the alternate captain for Team CHL as they take on Team USA. Porter Marone was named captain. There's one guy from Erie.
Matthew Schaefer.
Matthew Schaefer, one of them?
I think he plays for Erie.
Matthew Schaefer from Erie was the alternate, and Blake Fiddler from the Edmonton Oil Kings was the alternate. So
is that Vernon Fiddler's son?
Well, you know who's going to know that? Google's probably going to know that.
Blake Fiddler.
I think it might be.
Oh, he's American, but he's playing for Canada. God bless his heart.
Well, if he's American, his dad played in Detroit.
Vernon Fiddler, father. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We're getting old, bro.
Edmonton Oil Kings. Look at that.
Getting old, bro. That's
I'll take it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll take it again. Game 1 in London, game 2 in Oshawa, the 26th and 27th of this month. According to Mark Diver on Twitter, possible expansion. Possible expansion. Portland and Manchester. Named in the States. Little odd. I think those are pretty far away.
Not necessarily.
But I think I like that more than I like the Newfoundland idea.
Yeah, because Newfoundland, I mean, it's almost like it's a plane ride for sure.
Yeah.
Manchester is in New Hampshire, I believe, which would only be about a 6-7 hour drive away for Moncton. It's basically doing a Sherbrooke road trip.
Yep.
And what was the other one?
Portland,
6 hours. So it's not too bad. But doesn't Manchester have like a ECHL team?
I think so.
And then Portland has a ECHL team?
Yeah.
Okay, so those would be interesting. I mean, are those teams going to stay and they're just going to share the rink with the Q team? That's to be determined. Or are those teams going to move? We'll see. So
I know that I was like looking at these cities and I'm like, that's so far and blah, blah, blah. Sherbrooke to Manchester is 3 hours.
Yeah.
It's a 3 hour drive. So, you know, when you're talking about Rouen and Val-d'Or, that's no different than heading to Sherbrooke and then coming all the way. Like that's closer than coming all the way to Moncton and the East Coast. And I think I like that more because you can kind of do a 2-game swing road trip and go back up for those teams. I just don't know where you put them in conferences. Like unless you're going to eventually add a third team or like 2 more teams down the road to give you a division, but I don't even know where you put those two.
There's 6 in the Maritimes, right?
Yep.
And there's only 4 in the other divisions?
Yep.
So 1 and 1 and 1 in the other. Make it 6
and 5 and 6 and 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you can put Sherbrooke, Drummondville, Shawinigan. You can put one in New Hampshire there. And then, or scrap the conferences and just go, like, scrap the divisions and just go all by conference and figure it out that way. But it's longer, or just put 2 in the Central. Put them both in the Central, and you got 6 there, 6 in the Maritimes, 4 and 4.
Yeah.
Right? Like, keep those 2 in the Western Conference and go from there. So many names go on the CHL route from the NCAA. I think we're up to 9, I do believe now. I had that list after the announcement. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Yeah, 12 now. But we had our first CHL player committing to a NCAA team, is our Jacob Steinman is committed to Bowling Green. And we're going to get into more of how this affects everything with our guest, Mike McMahon there. But Bowling Green, we both had to look up where it is. It is in Ohio.
Oh, Ohio.
Good for Jacob, obviously. Step one. Good for Jacob. I wonder how many more of these we're going to see coming down in this year at least.
Yeah, probably a lot. You got to think. A lot of U Sports teams have their eye on Jacob Steinman, and here he goes and to the NCAA. That's absolutely nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
Bowling Green, what? Like, what are they? Bowling Green
Hawks?
The Hawks?
Eagles? Their logo is like an eagle-looking hawk thing.
Bowling Green Falcons?
Oh, that might be it.
No. Bowling Green Falcons.
Falcons, yeah. I figured it was a hawk-looking thing, so.
Nice. The CCHA.
Yeah, nowhere I was like, I think it's in Ohio. Like, I used to play NCAA football, so I kind of knew where all these schools were. But kind of south of Detroit, south of Toledo, Ohio. But I think there was probably 6 or 7, at least Ontario schools that were looking at him, had his eye on him.
Maritime teams too,
and a few maritime team school. Yep.
It's good for him. I mean, once the rules are set, do whatever you want to do.
100%. And I mean, I think we're just going to see more as the days and the weeks go by. Obviously, we've got a couple other NCAA. Bazile just announced that he was coming to the QMJHL. So I think we'll see this more. What did I say? I said the CHL, right?
Yeah. Rimouski.
Oh, is it Rimouski now?
Yeah.
Oh, it was rumored. I didn't actually see
Thomas Belzile?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's signed with Rimouski.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just saw the tweets where someone was saying it could be Rimouski and blah, blah, but I didn't actually see it.
That's pretty significant. It's a good, it's a free pickup for them. So
yeah, that's what happens.
I'll give them that.
That's what happens when you're, when you get the Memorial Cup.
Yeah. I mean, it does have its advantages. I mean, a lot of teams are after him and he's only 18, so he can come back next year and play another year in the CHL if he wants to. So good on them to pick him up for free.
Absolutely. And if they get that other guy too, Nadeau,
yeah. The funny he was so dedicated. He was so set on going the NCAA route.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't even picked in the Q draft.
Really?
Just flat out free agent.
Really?
Yeah. So yeah, just that rule itself can change everything.
Yeah. And now, so they had him. Nadeau's on their roster, but we haven't heard much news from that. That's how much more work do they have to do if they just add those 2 players?
Well, not much.
In your humble opinion, sir.
Not much. And then they're not it's if they can get him for free and Nadeau for free.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have St. John's first round pick.
Yeah.
So they can go and get one of the top guys, because you got to think if St. John decides to sell off, that first round pick is going to improve. So we'll see what they manage to do. Yeah, some work to be done for the team that we cover, and the other teams too. But again, if you can get great players for free, that's just going to make your trade deadline that much easier to plug holes and plug depth without having to give away a car. That's why I mentioned a name last week. What? He just happens to be the leading scorer amongst defensemen in the BCHL. So anyone that was paying attention last week, can go back and listen. Yep. If it happens, you heard it here first. I'll take credit for it. All right, the QMJHL team of the week. I can pronounce all the names again. Matthew Catafor from Rimouski, 3 games played, 2 goals, 4 assists. Big Bill Zonin from the Huskies, 3 games, 1 goal, 4 assists. Justin Charbonneau from the Armada, 3 games, 4 goals. Defenseman Ty Higgins from the Huskies, 3 games, 5 assists. Former Wildcat Alice Zielinski of the Eagles, 3 games played, 4 assists. And Raphael Precor from the Chicoutimi Saguenay, 1-0-1 with a 100% save percentage, 2 shutouts on the week. And of course, you shut 2 games out back to back. You are the QMJHL player of the week.
Now it's up to you, sir.
My team, okay.
The Boucher team of the week.
Team of the week. We got into some penalty trouble this week.
We sure did. Yeah, we did.
So we're playing shorthanded. We're killing a 5-on-3 here.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start on D on the back end. Killing this penalty got Ty Higgins. Ty Higgins 4 points on Saturday to take over the league lead in points amongst defensemen. Up front, Jeremy Poirier. What else can you say? 20 goals in 20 games. Killing it. And then
what was funny is I went and looked at it. I was like, 20 goals in 20 straight games. No, he didn't score against us, but it's 20 goals in 20 games.
20 games, yeah.
Yeah, he knows how to put the puck in the net.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad.
Carolina got a nice little find there in Carolina.
And lastly, up front, Matt Vagradine.
Your rookie.
My rookie of the year, yeah. He has points against every team that they've played against this season.
Really?
Yeah. Except for Moncton. Throw that one in there. And holding down the fort in the nets.
Yeah.
On the penalty kill is Vincent Gladue of Blainville.
I know why.
Our buddy Drew Bear.
Yeah.
He was going into that game on Saturday against the Eagles. He was feeling pretty confident.
Yeah.
He just happened to say that he LOL'd because the Armada were throwing their third string goalie to the Eagles. And well, guess what happened?
Yeah.
He shut out the Eagles.
Which is quite funny because a lot of the times when the Wildcats are playing against a team and we don't know the goalie, you're like, it's either 50 save shutout or we're going to run the table.
Yep.
Yeah. That's how you get on the Boucher team of the week. 2 shutouts, be damned. You go in as the third stringer and shut them out.
You say stuff. You talk bad about a player on social media.
Yeah.
You get on my team of the week.
Yeah. 100%. All right. We talked about it a little bit earlier, so let's. You ready for the guest there, sir?
Yes, I am all ready.
All right.
Let's bring him in.
View from the other bench.
Well, there's nothing I like more than first-time guests, right?
Yeah,
and we got a first-time guest, and honestly, we're pretty pumped about this one. He's been all over the CHL, NCAA news on Twitter. He's the publisher of College Insider Newsletter, senior writer for College Hockey News, and Merrimack beat writer for the Eagle Tribune since 2006. Welcome in, Mike McMahon. Mike, first of all, thanks for joining us. How are you this evening?
I'm excellent. Yeah, thanks for having me.
I guess first question, I don't want to go all the way back to the beginning, but I kind of want to start at the beginning. I mean, how much of a game changer is this in terms of, the CHL, NCAA, U Sports, the BCHL? Like, where did this all start? Who was the driving force behind this?
Well, dramatic shift, right? I mean, I think we don't even really know what the full-on ripple effects are going to be yet, but definitely a dramatic shift. It started because the NCAA has been getting sued about a lot of different rules and have been losing not even most of their lawsuits. They've lost all of them. And,
okay.
They're about to settle a pretty big one in the spring that will even have, more ramifications kind of just on college athletics in general. It's called the House Settlement, and, will usher in revenue sharing for college players. It's going to be bigger in basketball and football than hockey. But throughout that process, the NCAA, across all of its sports, was looking at rules where they thought they were legally vulnerable. And they went to the college coaches because in the NCAA, the coaches of each particular sport have some governing say in how that sport gets run, because there's commissioners of the separate leagues, but it's not like there's a commissioner the way there is in the USHL or another junior league or any of the CHL leagues or the NHL. So they went to the coaches and said, look, do you think you'd be willing to change? Like, they've talked about changing this for up to 2 years now. The coaches never were in enough agreement to change it that way. But then obviously over the course of the last 6 or so months, it kind of picked up more steam. There was at least one lawsuit filed. I think the NCAA was aware that there was going to be more filed. So they got out ahead of it and ended up changing the rule.
You can make the case that I guess before the announcement was made, the biggest loser was the USHL. But ever since, it's really been the BCHL. Like, it seems like guys are leaving the BCHL like flies ever since the announcement. How soon do you think it is before maybe some USHL players start to move on?
We've seen a few, I think. that's the one component that's a little tricky. I don't know how that's going to shake out. I've had a lot of people that watch this stuff really closely who believe that there's some USHL teams, not all of them, but some USHL teams that would be competitive against CHL teams. I've had more than one person say to me, would it make sense that maybe the USHL, is there some sort of agreement where they can be worked out where maybe they join the CHL and they become a fourth league? I mean, I think we're a long ways away from that happening, but I think that's on the table. For the time being, we have seen some players move, but as you said, it's been more across the BCHL, and that's really where I think it's going to have a bigger impact. I think you're going to see more BCHL players move. I think it's a trickle down, and then are in the long run, are there less BCHL players that go Division I in the NCAA? Are there less North American Hockey League players that get Division I scholarships? I think that's what's coming. I mean, I think we're going to 5 years from now look back on this and realize most of the Division I NCAA players are either coming from the CHL, one of the 3 CHL leagues, or they're coming from the USHL. I think that's where most of their players are going to end up coming from.
So we just had one, our goaltender committed to Bowling Green into next year. And I know that, there's probably, he's from Ontario, he's a free agent here. So there's probably 6-7 teams there, U Sport teams here. You talk about the BCHL losing players like Flies, and that could hurt them in terms of, they left Hockey Canada. And I don't want to say this is what they get for it, because I don't think they saw this coming. But in terms of how this hurts U Sports up in here in Canada, is this a major effect on U Sports like it is in the BCHL for players that could have committed later on?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Unfortunately, I think U Sport teams are probably the ones that get hurt the most, to be honest with you, because you got to think about it like this. There's 1,200 or so. If you take 20 players per team that are dressing every night in CHL teams, there's 1,200 players. Not all of them are going to be academically eligible, but let's say half of them are, which I think is a conservative estimate that half of them are. That's still 600 players that you're adding to the player pool. It's only 64 Division I hockey teams, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of players to be adding to the pool. But I think it's going to start to squeeze. It's going to be a trickle down. It's going to start to squeeze everybody down. Everything is going to trickle down. But I think those U Sport guys, I mean, they're going to lose players. They're going to lose players that would have used the education package to go to school. In, I know the few of the schools that come down and play NCAA schools a lot, New Brunswick and McGill, like those types of schools that have come down to play NCAA schools and exhibitions. Those are the ones that I'm aware of, but I know there's a lot more. There's going to be players that I think otherwise would have ended up there to use their education package that now may have the opportunity to do that at a Division I NCAA school. So I think that's at the collegiate level. I mean, I think it feels like they're going to be the ones that lose the most players, because the ones that the CHL players that go into the NCAA, the spots that they're going to take are probably not players that are then going to go play U Sport, because a lot of them are probably American players, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to take a lot of American spots from a lot of American players who will trickle down and end up playing Division III hockey in the NCAA. So it's like, I don't know that they're going to have, as everything trickles down, I don't know what players are going to fill those roles.
If you were to kind of put, I guess, a hat on and kind of look at the crystal ball, what do you think the biggest benefit of this rule change is? Is it going to be, I guess, up here in the Canadian Hockey League being able to attract more Americans because there's no longer, a 48-hour rule? Because that's what seems to be the consensus amongst, anyone I've talked to who says, well, the 48-hour rule just doesn't exist anymore.
Yep. Yeah, I think it will. I think it will attract more American players because of that. It's now, from their standpoint, there's really no difference between the Q or the OHL or the WHL and the USHL. I mean, there's just from an eligibility standpoint for a player that wants to go on and play college hockey, there's no difference between any of these leagues. So they can play. It opens up opportunities for those players to play wherever they want to play. I look at it from my standpoint. I'm based out of Boston, so I know there's a lot of New England players that, there's no USHL team even close to the New England area, right? So if you're in New England, yeah, like if Youngstown, Ohio, I think is the closest one to where I am, and so if you're a New England kid and you're going to go play in the USHL, it's a considerable distance from home, as opposed to a lot of teams in the Q that are driving distance to kids in Massachusetts, kids in Maine, kids in New Hampshire. So it's like there's going to be opportunities for those players to play closer to home and still maintain that NCAA eligibility. I think that's really the people that benefits the most.
I know that this is a free-flowing rule, at least I assume. I don't know if it's set in stone or anything like that, but are there stuff we're going to see in the next year or two with different rules on this player can play and different rules? Is this going to be free-flowing, or is this going to be a set in stone, hard and fast rule between the CHL and the NCAA?
I think it's – I don't see it changing from an NCAA standpoint. Right. So the NCAA, they're changing rules that limit players because they've been getting sued about any sort of rule that limits a player, limits a player's options. That's how the transfer portal came into existence. Unlimited transfers then came into existence because every rule that they had that was seen as limiting the player because nothing's collectively bargained because they're not, employees, was seen as violating U.S. antitrust law, and that's how those rules were changing. I know there's a lot of talk, like there's a lot of hockey people that have mentioned even to me, will they come up with some sort of transfer agreement? Will there be like NCAA schools can't have more than 3 former CHL players or something like that? It's been talked about in hockey circles. I highly doubt that ever actually comes to fruition just because from a legal standpoint, I think the NCAA is going to look at it and say that, again, like we're limiting player opportunity, and that's what we've been getting sued about and losing, having to change our rules because of. So I highly doubt that will end up happening.
And I guess I'll ask one last one. I think Adam's going to finish it off here, but I'll ask about it's kind of off topic, but the possible expansion into the New England area has kind of been catching our eye lately. There was talk of Portland, Maine, and Manchester, New Hampshire. Do you see those two as kind of viable markets? I know they've got existing hockey teams. I'm pretty sure if you ask the LA Kings, they'd like their affiliate team to be closer than Manchester, New Hampshire. But do you see those as kind of two viable markets for Q teams down the road?
Yeah, Manchester especially because they actually lost that affiliate, so that building's empty now. They were there. That the East Coast team, well, the AHL team and then East Coast team for the Kings was there for a long time, the Monarchs. And they moved, I don't know where they are now, but they moved maybe 2 years ago, right around, maybe a little bit longer. It was right around the time of COVID, I think, was their last year. So they've got a beautiful building in downtown that doesn't have a full-time tenant. I mean, they play NCAA. There's an NCAA tournament regional that'll get played there this spring, but they have plenty of concerts there, but there's no full-time tenant. There is the Maine Mariners, an East Coast team, I don't know who they're affiliated with, does play out of Portland. So if they play out of Portland, there would be kind of a conflict with the rink. I think Manchester makes a lot of sense because they're starving for a full-time team. The other one, too, is it's been brought up to me a couple of times, is maybe putting a team back in Lewiston again if Portland wasn't going to work out. There was already a team in Lewiston. That building is still there. It's ready to go. So I think that's inevitable. Just seems like there's too much chatter about it for it to not come to fruition at some point.
I know a friend of the show, Jamie Tozer, would love to have Lewiston back.
As long as they keep the Maniacs name,
yeah.
That's
You only have them back if you keep the Maniacs. I guess just the last one for me, and we kind of talked about it in the next 5 years and what you see. We were talking about this on our way to Charlottetown. Do you see this rule eventually in the CHL becoming something where we see interleague trades? So, Boston College wants a kid that they're getting from Lethbridge. They want him traded to Rimouski to keep closer eye on him with the time zones, or a kid from Sudbury traded to the Calgary Hitmen because North Dakota wants him for better development. Am I looking too much into this and too far ahead, or is this something you potentially could see as part of this deal where teams want their guys closer? Because I think Tri-City is doing a development deal with Michigan State. I think I read kind of with their players. So is that something you potentially could see in there, or am I just way out on my conspiracy of what could happen?
I think anything is possible at this point. The way things are changing and as rapidly as they're changing in the NCAA, right. I think anything is possible. Right. And I think also, too, like everything filters up to the NHL level. If we're talking about guys that are drafted players, I think you see the NHL teams get involved a lot in terms of where they want those guys to go. So nothing would surprise me. I know before this rule change happened, right, traditionally, there's a lot of college programs that had relationships with junior A coaches, and you would see that pipeline, right? Like I know, for example, again, I cover Merrimack for the Eagle Tribune here locally, and it's like they have a lot of Brooks Bandits players That's not a coincidence. It's because they have a relationship with that coaching staff. So it wasn't necessarily like a close to home thing there, but I do think maybe you will see teams that have established relationships with organizations that may want their players to play for those organizations just because they trust them from a development standpoint.
Yeah, being a Alberta kid, Brooks Bandits, Okotoks Oilers, they are just a feeding system to the they were a feeding system to the NCAA. So I hope this doesn't, kind of hurt that in terms of, what the championships they've built, because I believe Brooks' coach is former Wildcat, right?
Yeah. Wildcats, former Wildcats goalie. Yep.
All right, well, Mike, I mean, this is awesome, man. I really appreciate you, because we've been kind of trying to cover this for 3-4 weeks or whatever, and going, I don't know how this rule affects it. I don't know what this rule means. I don't know what age this, and people asking us questions. So, man, we appreciate any time that you can give us.
Yeah, anytime.
So for fans that want to continue to follow this, or any NCAA news in the Eastern Conference, if we get into expansion, where can they find you on Twitter or online?
On Twitter is at Mike McMahon CHN, and all of my stuff gets posted on the website collegehockeyinsider.com.
Perfect, Mike. Well, again, appreciate you taking the time tonight, and thank you.
You bet. Thanks, guys.
I love first time callers.
Yeah.
And someone who follows it knows it, because I mean, how many times have we come on here? I'm like, Jeremy, the NCAA, what does that mean? I don't know. What do you think that means? I don't know.
It's just we've been talking about it. I mean, for I wouldn't necessarily say for years, but for months now, because I mean, there's still that 1% chance that Cole Eiserman leaves the Boston University to come play for the Wildcats in the second half. Don't know if that's going to happen, but
I was waiting for you to ask that question.
No, I don't think I was never that far. That's still wishful thinking, but no, there's we've got some guys in the system that could easily be of benefit to this rule. I mean, I know he signed his son the other day, but Gavin Cornforth and with the Dubuque Fighting Saints is a possibility. But more recently, I mean, look at Jacoby Weiner. I'm not sure exactly what his last name is, but we'll see. But I mean, these are, and we know how good he played in training camp. He was 16 years old, and he was probably the best goalie we've seen of all during the rookie camp part. So, we could be of benefit as early as next month, or could be next August.
And expedite the rebuild too. There's teams that when they all go all in, they give up their picks, and it's a long way back because you're hoping for an Ontario free agent, or you're hoping for a Western League, or a random American like Jude in Charlottetown.
Jude Huron,
in Charlottetown. But this way, if you have the ability to recruit and get players to come here while still being able to commit for preseason, and then into the regular season, that could just expedite rebuilds for a team like Moncton, who's literally going to push all in.
Yeah, and I mean, you're right, because what's his name? The Nasruddin kid that's in Halifax. Alec. It's either Alec or Lower or Loic. We drafted the other one, right? Last June. So, but the other one, so Alec is in Halifax. Loic, I think, is the Moncton pick. He committed to, I forget where he is, Northeastern, I believe. And I mean, is it Northeastern? Yeah, Northeastern. And he's a D. He's got a point per game right now, playing for a Dallas Stars youth program. So, easy is your brother came to the CHL. Why don't you want to come play? And again, if he comes, it expedites the rebuild. So,
or even if he wants to play in the CHL and wants to play with his brother, now you've got a chip to move to Halifax. No. I'm just saying there's the possibilities.
We want the family rivalry and
we want that,
and the franchise rivalry.
Yes, but, let's do them both.
Yeah, but no, I'm looking forward to it. It's kind of been something that's, if you would have asked me when I started watching junior hockey, I would have said, why isn't this the way it is already? It's just, it's weird how you kind of limit an American's time in the league to 48 hours. So I like our chances of benefiting from it as early as next month.
I kind of like I'm trying to find the stats here. When you talk about the USHL, if it goes into like a fourth league for Canadian Hockey League, obviously it'll be North American Hockey League at that point. But
No, there was already in a North American Hockey League.
Sir, yeah, there is two. Man.
It's the CUSAHL.
Yeah, and we didn't even actually talk about the CHL USA Prospects game. But there was something. Oh, I cannot like. I hope I'm not too far fetched on that where we get to see, because we see it in Major Junior all the time, where those interleague trades, just that getting to,
I mean, they do it in Junior A.
Yeah,
we saw it last weekend.
Yeah,
like West Kent or acquired a player from the Fort McMurray Oil Barons.
Yeah,
like
nice AJHL, MHL trade. Yeah, like.
It'd be interesting to see. It's gonna be fun to watch.
That's the thing. It's gonna be fun to follow and continue to watch as things continue to change. All right, I guess we should probably talk about our team, eh?
That's what we're here for.
That's what we're here for.
Weekly Rewind.
All right, the Wildcats go 1-1 on the week, bringing the record to 16-3-2 for 34 points, first in the Maritimes, first in the conference, and tied for first in the QMJHL, which is crazy to think they're 16-3-2, 34 points, and they're only 3 points up on Baie-Comeau, 3 points up on Rimouski. Like I was saying to you before we got on the air, Moncton, Drummondville, 34 points. The Huskies, 33. Baie-Comeau, 31. Rimouski, 31. Chicoutimi, 31. Like, and all the teams are not pulling away from each other.
Yeah.
Like,
because they're playing each other.
Yeah.
Every other night.
Yeah.
Like one night it's Chicoutimi against Baie-Comeau. The next one was Baie-Comeau against Chicoutimi.
Yeah, and then Drummondville versus Rimouski. It's like
benefiting from they're benefiting from the schedule.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, you guys win one night, we'll win the next night, and we'll make things tight and like, go from there.
8-1, 7-2, 7-1, 8-2, 7-2, 8-1 for these teams in the past 10 games, because they just continue to play each other and there's no real drop off. So, the sky was falling after Thursday. If you talk to some people, when we got our first loss after scoring first. Did you say me?
Me.
Thursday against the Sea Dogs. Thursday night, man. That's
all you got to say.
Yeah, we're just gonna literally chalk this up to Thursday night. I didn't want to bring this up, but we're just bad on Thursday nights. I can't figure it out. 4-9 in the past two seasons, 3-7 last year, 1-2 this year. I knew it was not going to be our night when that first goal on Jacob Steinman went in, because it went in the 5-hole, but he got a piece of it with his pad and it just like squeaked through. And I was like, yep, I think tonight's not going to be our night.
I'll tell you how I knew too.
Yeah.
Halloween, less than 2 minutes into the game, Gravel made like a 10-bell save.
Yeah.
2 minutes into this game, made a 10-bell save.
Yeah.
It's as if you can't get one past him early, you're SOL. It's I don't know. Go back and look at the Halloween game. I just remember walking down the street behind mine and watching it, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's goal. No, he stopped it. And then they lost in overtime.
Yeah.
And this past Thursday, big save early in the game, lost game. So it's just something is about, you got to get to this guy early to take him off his game, or he's going to be in our heads every night.
Yeah. And I thought he's actually been pretty good against us in his career. Just doing the math quickly. I guess he's 5-5 against us with Blainville, Baie-Comeau in the past 2 years. But he's, we talked about it on the preseason show with Jamie. I said, is it getting a goaltender to kind of move at the deadline? Is it getting a goaltender that allows the kids to play? And it's exactly that. It's getting a goaltender that allows the kids to make a mistake, and he's back there to stop the puck. It doesn't end up in the back of the net. So they're going uphill trying to, giving up 4 or 5 goals a game. Not that Justin Robinson was doing that, but he's just a veteran goaltender. He's 8-8. He's got a 2.6 goals against average. Like, he's just there to make saves. And I think also the game changed on the 5-minute check to the head penalty to Riley Sampson that resulted in a suspension that I'm going to get to in a little bit. They just kind of couldn't really rebound from that. It was, when did he get that? 10:30. So it was 2-1 at that point, and they got the 5-minute kill and just couldn't get any momentum from it.
They had momentum, but only for like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
and just died.
Yeah.
Like the 4 shifts after that penalty kill was probably their best 4 straight shifts they had all game. Because the momentum was there, and they couldn't bury one. If they would have buried one there, it's over.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'd rather them. Let's look at positives here. I'd rather them not get up for a game against St. John, than not get up for a game against Rimouski, or a game against Baie-Comeau, or a game. It's if you're going to look down on your opponent, sure, but I mean, just at least make an effort. But don't.
And it was 3-2.
Yeah.
Right? Like we had scored 2 minutes left, 7 minutes left in the third period. It was 3-2. They were right there. And then the wheels just kind of fell off.
Yeah. Yeah. They just, anyways, again, we're not going to get all pissy about a loss to St. John in November.
No.
Because you know what? If there's not enough, there's more important things in the world to worry about. But at this point, you can't let it get in your head, because it's very possibly that's a first round playoff opponent.
Yep. And it's, I would rather lose 6-3, 6-2 to St. John on a Thursday night if it keeps the team a little bit humble. Like, if they're not raffling off 10 in a row and then they lose a game to, a top team like Rimouski or Drummondville. Then they rifle off 10 in a row or 12 in a row. And, the world is, they can do whatever they want. Like I don't want to say it keeps them humble, but we had interviews planned and we decided that that's not going to happen because you just knew that this was one of those games where
we would have been waiting a while.
Or we're not going to really talk about it. Like you just don't want to talk about it. But yeah, they rebounded nicely. They came to Charlottetown, getting a 5-1 victory, up 3-1. Kind of Caleb getting his one early 3 minutes in. They kind of kept their foot on the gas, including in the third period with 2 goals in 2 minutes. That I think was the most impressive part. Is yes, Thursday happened, and I said it a couple times to a couple of scouts at the Monctonian. A couple of the fans at the Charlottetown game, grab the tape, the USB, whatever you put the game on, throw it away against St. John. Don't even worry about it, and move on to the next one. And they did that, and I thought they played real well in Charlottetown.
No, for sure. There was definitely a rebound game. I get it. That before even the game started, the ceremony before the game was quite something. And if you didn't get a chance to see it on the broadcast, Matthew Butler's mom, I think, who's going through cancer treatment right now, was at the game and, had to did the ceremonial puck drop with her son there. And man, it was something like it was really touching moment. So props to the Islanders organization for putting that together. And,
and then they had another fan that was cancer free in the third period.
Their PA, their public, I guess their hype dude. I don't know what the title of the job is, but it was his grandmother that was breast cancer survivor, and they he saluted her with like a little speech in the third period. It was really well done. Their jerseys looked amazing. Looking forward to seeing ours on the 30th against Gatineau. But getting back to the game, it's. You're right. It was a rebound. It was a rebound. There's a little slow start, but they got to it and managed to get Paul Riccia, which can't say the same for the Eagles last weekend. So that's always a benefit when you can get to a 20-year-old goalie and get him out of the net. And just got to keep it going. There's a big road trip coming up, and last time we went through to Quebec, they got 6 points, so it would be nice to get another one. Yeah,
and again, that ceremony was good, and it set the tone, and it was just a nice ceremony. What wasn't nice about this game? Moran lays an absolute beautiful hit, and they come after us. Matthew Butler tries to fight him, which good on Moran for not taking anything. 4-minute penalty. And then on the third period, with about 7 minutes left, scores 5-1. Ross Campbell's got a breakaway. I believe it was short-handed or it was 4-on-4, one of the two. I think it was 4-on-4. And Desnoyers makes a great play, hits him at about the dot. Clean, just like skating beside him, hits him. Campbell goes into the boards. Campbell is what Brad Marchand is without the scoring in the championships. And he full on hits Pekarchik from behind. Yes, Pekarchik got up. But so did the player from St. John that Riley Sampson caught with a blindside hit. Mm-hmm. And he popped right back up. Riley Sampson got 5 minutes, a game misconduct. Riley Sampson got a 2-minute suspension, 2-game suspension. Mm-hmm. As of now, we have not seen Ross Campbell get a suspension. And if you're telling me that it's because Pekarchik got up, I would really like to know the difference between a blindside hit to the head with a elbow or shoulder and a blindside hit to the numbers where the guy doesn't see him coming. And somehow that is a double minor instead of 5 minutes. And that's why that kind of hit is still in the league. And this will kind of be my rant. And I talked about if you're going to remove fighting or give heavier suspensions for fighting, you got to do it for the hit from behind. There's no way that a check from behind where he's not even playing the puck. Go watch our Instagram. Go find it on Twitter. He full on skates to the middle of the ice and then notices it's on the half wall and takes right off towards Pekarchik and drills him right into the boards. That's 4 minutes. You can't have it. I mean, this league is doing its best to be safe. And if you're going to give a guy a suspension for a 2-minute check to the head because it's a predatory hit or whatever, this is the same bleep. It's the same thing. There has to be a suspension. And the fact that there isn't one actually just pisses me off even more because that's the type of player that this kid is. And it was 5-1. If there's a time to do it, it's when the score is 5-1 with 7 minutes left in the game. Like if that's a fight, if Gabe Smith and Ross Campbell fight because of that, they're both suspended. Well, Gabe Smith's suspended for sure. Yeah. But if that's his first fight, they're both suspended for fighting after 10 minutes when the score is out of reach. What's the difference between a hit from behind? At least in a fight, you're willing to get punched in the face. A hit from behind, Pekarchik has no bearing on it. And the people we were sitting by, we had to stay silent because of it. Because I was quite annoyed. There's been the last 2 games where the officials have had some trouble with some calls and non-calls for sure. Rant over.
No, and you're right. It's not. Nothing's been posted on the site yet, and
I don't know if they're waiting for closer to Charlottetown's next game because Squires and Fullerton got suspended right away, and they like. What's the difference between the Fullerton hit from behind and Ross Campbell's hit from behind? One went on a stretcher, one popped back up. If that's the rule, what are we doing? Because I just realized that and now I just rant on. What's the difference?
That seems to be the only difference right now is the Blainville player unfortunately was, had to be stretchered off the ice and Pekarchik got right back up, albeit a little slow. But, you're right. There seems to be some inconsistencies with some calls and Sampson was suspended 2 games. The guy in St. John got right back up, and I'm pretty sure he was playing on the 5-minute power play. So, if there's no suspension for this particular hit, I would be curious as to why, and I will leave it at that.
Yeah, this is why, and this isn't a Q thing, but this is why I've always wished that officials, we hold coaches, we hold players accountable in all pro sports, and at some point we should hold refs accountable too, just to find out this kind of stuff. I asked you when we were leaving the rink, what do you do if you're Charlottetown? Kind of been in a 2-year rebuild. It's going a little bit slower than you would like. What are we thinking here with them? Like, if they're not close to a playoff spot in the next week and a half, are you shipping out Kiersey when his value is as high as it is, an 18-year-old? Are you shipping out, hopefully Ruccia to one of the teams that maybe needs some goaltending as a 20, although there's quite a 20-year-old market with teams that don't really need goaltending. But what are you doing if you're Charlottetown?
It's a good question. I mean, by the looks of it right now, they could squeak into the playoffs, but they're probably going to get swept again, either out in 4 or 5. Yeah. And at this point, it's just that's not good enough. And I think you really got to make a decision here. If you trade Kiersey now, you better absolutely maximize his value.
There's a team we talked about that has a couple first-round picks and a couple early lottery picks in northern New Brunswick that
are going to be good next year.
And that he would look pretty good on their power play. And that's how you flip this. That's how you retool in a rebuild, is to get a couple early potential lottery picks.
And you can play there for a year and a half, right? So they've got just some decisions to make. I know a player I'd like I think could add a little bit of offensive touch to the fourth line would be Alexis Michaud. I think he would be a guy that would be a nice fit on our fourth line that could also chip in offensively. I also like his tenacity and his work ethic that I think would match really well. But no,
there's a nice defenseman that I've always liked from there.
Yeah, long name
or Moncton, New Brunswick.
Yeah. Topolnicki could be would be a nice guy on the third pairing as well. And
100%.
So they've got. I think they'd be better off just selling what they've got and kind of let their fans know that we don't have the best rink in the world. We don't have the best media booth in the world. But we have a very good fan base, and they do have a very good fan base. They have a very supportive fan base. They will show up on a Saturday night in September. They'll show up in the middle of a snowstorm.
Yep.
And I think it's a province that, they've seen how successful the Summerside team is. It's time for Charlottetown to get to that level.
Yeah. Have that consistency. And what I laughed about is, we roll it back to season 3. We asked about the coaching staff. Is it just time for a new voice? If you're going, if you're not good and it's tough sledding, I'd have to look at their schedule here.
Halton's been instrumental with getting Ontario free agents to come to PEI. But if you're not getting big name free agents, I mean, Braden Stumpf.
Yeah.
That was his goal against Moncton was his first goal in the queue.
Yeah. Lane Sim hasn't been.
Lane Sim, you can make the argument, who we didn't even know was released by Sarnia.
Yeah. So their schedule coming up until the trade deadline. Shawinigan, 2 against St. John, Shawinigan, Drummondville, Victoriaville in 3-3. Or 3-4, sorry. Val-d'Or ran at home. Halifax. That's a tough one. That is a tough stretch. Yep. And I don't want to say it's a hot seat, but I think if things don't go well before the deadline and you're moving out Topolnicki and you're moving out Kiersey and you're moving out, who's the guy you said? Michaud. They find a buyer for Ruccia and you retool this. I think there's a possibility where I think a franchise reset could be something that is just good for everybody in terms of a new voice, a new way we're going to go with this, a GM and a coach, because sometimes being both is tough.
That's what I was just going to say.
So maybe not Holton behind the bench. Maybe Holton is a GM.
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
A new voice behind the bench and just leave Holton in charge of the hockey ops.
Yeah. And just come out with
or vice versa.
Here's our plan, like Moncton did in 2016, where they said, here's our plan. We're going to suck for Pelche.
Yeah.
Or Lafreniere, I guess it would have been. I think that's a fan base that understands how this game's played, understands has trust in Jim Holton, and I think if that plan is laid out for them, I think they're willing to do that, and they'll show up in the second half.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to look. I'm looking at their picks now. I don't even think they have a first round pick.
I thought they did. I thought
they do. Okay, sorry.
I
They have
thought
their
Corey
own.
Arsenal said they did.
Yeah, they have their own. Which at this point, if they decide to, not initially tank, but fold in a little bit, that's probably going to be a lottery pick.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, there's tons of talent on the board, and it wouldn't be a bad thing. It wouldn't be a bad idea, especially with the NCAA rule.
Yeah, and that's why I'm thinking about it.
Where you just say, you know what, let's just do a town hall with their fans, which Cape Breton does great.
Mm-hmm.
And just explain that, we have to do change. We have to make some changes because they've really got to load up on 2026, because at this point, the Islanders 2026, they have a first round pick and they don't have another one to the fourth. So if they're going to sell, I mean, they got to start bulking up with some 2026 picks and do what they can do.
Is Kersey worth 2 firsts? Because if they can get a
25, I would think so. Yeah,
a 20. We're just playing the old Kersey to Bathurst like we talked about on the drive. They got 3 this year and 2 in 2026 and a second, third, fourth. So even if they get a first in 26 and a third in 2026, that puts their cupboards at 2 firsts and a third in 2026, just off Kersey.
Halifax, Bathurst is going to be a team to watch at the trade period, because they're not going to want 3 first-round picks next year.
No, they don't need them.
No, they're not going to want 2 first-round picks in 2026.
No, so that's a team that if there's a fit for Kersey, it is
dark horse to get Gauthier.
You heard it here first. So we look at the road trip.
Go to pull Ethan Gauthier here at the trade deadline and make a run for the Maritime title.
Gauthier and Mercer.
Oof.
They pull both of them out of there.
Yeah.
Mercer and Fleming is your tandem.
Yep.
Yeah. So as you see scrolling along the bottom of the road trip, I made the mistake of saying they played Rimouski. They play Quebec, Chicoutimi, and Baie-Comeau. I feel like Quebec could be the game they maybe overlook, which they hopefully don't do, as they've done in St. John. But they're looking at that rematch against Chicoutimi and Baie-Comeau, which they got here earlier in the year and took advantage of it. Now they want to do that on the big ice there. We haven't done this a whole lot, but I think for me, if I'm looking in the tandems, I'm looking at Keegan Warren against Quebec, and I'm looking at Steinman and in both games. So I was going to say Steinman in both games in Chicoutimi and Baie-Comeau.
Can't say I disagree. I mean, you saw Simon start against St. John on Thursday and Charlottetown against on Saturday. So yeah, it's Keegan Warren's turn.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd be surprised if it wasn't him. And yeah, you're right. Give Steinman the 2 games against Chicoutimi and Baie-Comeau, because those are going to be good ones. And we know how passionate their fan base is.
Yeah, and that building looks full in Baie-Comeau all the time.
Yeah, so those are going to be good games. Those are going to be some, if you can pull a win against those 2 teams on home ice, great. But if you can do it on the road, it's those are statements. And
like once we finish the interviews, we were kind of talking to Gardner, and it's big road. He said himself, I said, what is it about being on the road? You're 9-1. Like, is it just taking the crowd out of it? And he said we're good at home, but we're road warriors, and it's a big weekend coming up. Baie-Comeau was 8-2 in their last 10. Chicoutimi's 8-1 in their last 10. Mm-hmm. Quebec's 3-5. So there's a chance to get 2 points. But as I said off the top here, you're 3 points ahead of both Baie-Comeau and Chicoutimi. So right there, there's an ability for them to catch us. And I don't think I still don't think they're healthy, are they?
No, Massey's still out. Cadet's still out.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to be getting Baie-Comeau on a back-to-back. But, I mean, we're also... Chicoutimi's going to be getting us on a back-to-back. So there's wins and losses. Yeah, so I guess we'll see how it goes. But 6 points would be nice.
Yep.
Do it like last time.
Just roll through 6 points.
And we'll see if we can hang on to this number 1 spot and the CHL.
Yeah, and don't take penalties against Quebec. 29.7%.
Yeah, they're good.
They're good. And something that Jamie Dozer pointed out, the Maritimes division is not great on the power play, but really good on the penalty kill. And Moncton's the number 2 penalty kill in there. So especially on the big ice against a team like Chicoutimi, kind of stay out of the penalty box and get some wins and continue keeping this thing rolling. Are you ready for everyone's favorite part of the show, sir?
Yes, sir.
Eric Murray, realtor. Buy your house from him. Stick tap of the week.
All right, so we'll start with once again another audible stick tap.
Yes.
This one is a flying success, if you'd like to put it that way. The Monctonian wrapped up last weekend, and it was a sweep of sorts.
Yeah.
So the Bantam U15, Jeremy. The U15 Flyers captured that division's Monctonian, and the Moncton Flyers beating the Halifax Max in the final of the U18 division, which was quite surprising because I was under the impression the Max were a unit. But
Dread the red.
Yeah.
That was there.
Right, I saw that tweet. But no, it's like a good job to keeping the titles in this area, and I think it was the CIHA that won the U18
U17
U16
16 15 16 18
midget minor, let's call it that.
Yeah.
Wrapped up. We had a good time at the Prospects game. I never did tweet out our three
so
stars.
where are your 3 stars?
3 stars. That's right. I feel bad because our buddy Austin Robson has 2 of this of the same.
Yeah.
So
we didn't even talk about this on this week's show.
That's right. It's almost as if we know stuff. First star or third star, Fenwick McLean from the Steel Subarus.
Great name.
Yep, absolutely. And then Mark McPhee from the Moncton Flyers, and Jack Skinnish, who I think we both fell in love with, was our first star.
Does Moncton have a chance at 2 of those? Guinness, no.
Guinness,
the
no.
other 2.
McPhee, no. Fenwick McLean, no. All right. That's why you're gonna go get those grinders in that Prospects game, and no, great weekend, great game. Looking forward. I think the who was it that got the player of the game for the Flyers? Isaac Berube, defenseman Isaac Berube. I think we have a shot at him. Yeah, that could be a potential pick. But the real stick tap.
Oh, okay.
By request.
Yeah.
All the fans that made the trip to Charlottetown on Saturday, we were loaded. That rink was loaded with Cats fans. Must have been a good 20 to 30.
I'm surprised that one wasn't a bus trip with the bridge.
Yeah. Make it Charlottetown, leave early, and go enjoy the sights of Charlottetown. Yeah. I was like, man, we got a killer parking spot for that restaurant. I still can't believe that. But no, honestly, there's probably a good
day for it. Like, if it would have been a nicer day, we might have gone a little bit earlier, but
but no, it's probably 20 to 30 Wildcats fans made the trip, which is really great to see. And they were all kind of sitting behind the bench, which made things a little more interesting. And I know the players appreciate when the fans hit the road. And I think we got another one coming up here in St. John next month that we're gonna probably get to. Not on the bus, but maybe do an old individual trip. But there you go.
Yep.
Good stuff. Like seeing the fans on the road. Keep it up.
Yeah, it's even funnier when they ask us. We need to be.
The stick tap. All right, I'll listen to you this time.
All right. Congratulations, Spanish listeners.
The Stick Tap of the Week, sponsored by Eric Murray Real Estate with the RE/MAX Avante team. If you're looking to buy or sell a home in the greater Moncton or surrounding area, make sure to check him out on social media or give him a call at 506-863-8802.
And that brings us to the Wildcast Wildcat of the Week, presented by Rosemary Lynn Massage and Spa. Right now, they're expanding to teeth whitening. Pearly whites. You want them nice and white.
So don't brush your teeth anymore. Go see Rosemary Lynn's Massage and Spa.
Yeah. Who needs teeth brushing other than the breath part? chew gum and go get your teeth whitened at Rosemary Lynn Massage and Spa. I'm not sure how much it is yet, so follow them. As well, they've got the loyalty card. Don't forget 9 spa services, get one free. Call them at 506-830-1224 or stop in at 1224 Mountain Road. Not much went right on Thursday. We already established that, but one player stood out with a goal and assist. He continued his strong play on Saturday with a goal and an assist. So 4 points on the weekend. The Wildcats Wildcat of the week is number 20, Preston Lounsbury.
Now, before the close of the show, let's go check Twitter to make sure there's nothing Wildcats related like there was last Monday. As soon as we turned off the show.
Yep.
So let's do a quick search here.
All the rumors that everyone's hearing about that we're not going to talk about right now.
We don't know what's going on.
Yeah, flat out just came out about 5 minutes after. One stat that I did have, Mr. Boucher, that I didn't tell you about. For all those teams that think this team is just as good as the 2019 team.
Oh, yes.
After 22 games, the 2019-2020 team was 17-5, 95 goals for, and 60 goals against. 10-3 at home, 7-3 on the road. This team, after the third loss in the sky was falling, after 21 games, they're 16-3-2, 96 goals for, 50 goals against, 7-2 at home, and 9-1 on the road. So there's a bit of a correlation. We joked about it earlier in the show where this defense looked an awful lot like that 2020 defense, and goals for and goals against are just. They're right there, but that'll do it for the show. Like I said, the Wildcats are on the road this week for 3 and 4 in Quebec, and so they're back home November 30th. It's Hockey Fights Cancer night. Doesn't look like it's going to be Hockey Fights Cancer weekend. I think that is a small mistake. I think you should have it on both nights. So the fans that can't get there Saturday can get there Sunday, but it is what it is. If you're needing tickets for that game and you're a Hometown Rewards member, check your app. There's a promo code for discounts until December 31st. And if you're not a Hometown Rewards member, do it. Again, thanks to Mike McMahon of CHN joining us, giving us some clarity on the CHL NCAA news. And that's pretty much it. Unless you found some news. Did you find any news?
Not that I can locate at this moment. No.
All right, perfect. Well, guess what? For Jeremy, I'm Adam. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Wildcast podcast. Follow us on social media at Moncton Wildcast.